And we're back. I just adjusted the lights a little bit to see if that might help a little bit. Uh, we'll see. Uh, Trent, who is my partner, and I are obsessed with 10-pole tutor right now. Um, that's this band. Okay. It's very catchy. Okay, so sorry. So the way that I cut hair, maybe I should talk about that a little bit too, is that I like to cut hair how it falls. And so I do my own strange version of my own power. What's it called? Not PowerPoint. Oh my god. Pivot points, I believe. I do my own modified version of that. So my haircuts usually start creating a perimeter first, and then cutting to that perimeter, and then starting at the crown and working my way around in pie shapes ish. Unless of course I'm doing, like bob, or like a A-line bob or something like that. But in general, that's how I do it, because I like to be able to see where I'm cutting and to see just how it falls naturally. I'm not the most architectural hair cutter. As far as like, I do pretty clean partings and stuff, but I probably picked up a lot of bad habits or just teaching myself. So I'm always watching and learning. If you see something that I'm doing that I don't know, it's kind of hard because I'm doing that myself. So this isn't super indicative of how I cut hair. But anyways, we're going to keep going. As you can see here, this little piece has been driving me absolutely kookadoo. I do want to say this about doing hair. My hair is pretty thick. It's thinner in the front. And it's a lot thicker in the back. And the thing that's, I think a challenging thing is because it is thicker back here, it's easy to take too big sections. And in the case of my hair, that will I have all these weird little curls and cowlicks, and so what happens then is that they just like to sneak out a little bit later. So I'm holding it where I need to be. I can see my guide through there, and then I'm just gonna relax my arm because it's tiring. And I'm just gonna cut that. And again, this isn't like the most precision haircut anybody's ever had or given. Certainly not the most precise haircut I've ever given. Oh my gosh, there he is. There she is. There they are. Get these dumb things off of there. Ugh. Yes. That has been driving me. I've said that 1,000 times. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. That's driving me crazy. So, see that little... Get out of there. Okay. No, it's hard to cut your hair in a mirror. That's the reality. That's the reality. And as it gets back this way, okay, don't take too big of sections beyond that. It gets a little more challenging. So I'm gonna get as far as I can doing it this way over here, and then we'll move on to the other side. Yeah. So let's see. I know that's gonna need to get cut. Get the old jerk. I have an idea for the back of my head, which involves using clippers as the blade instead of shears, because I can't really see back there, but I definitely can pull my hair out and feel where it needs to be cut and just use the clipper just going along flat against the inside of my hand. I can do that. Okay, so knowing my hair and how it's going to curl up, this is looking, sorry, I'm going to get it. That's the piece. That's him. That's the guy. One time my friends and I were at this really crazy barbecue. And I don't know what the hell. It was crazy. That is a tale for another time. But there was this one part at which everyone was pretty drunk, and these people came up to me. It wasn't my barbecue, but they were so mad because a guy it was out on Soviet Island, and this guy apparently had thrown up like in the walkway, between like the barn where the bands were playing and like the house or something. And like they were so mad, and they came up to me, like I said, it wasn't my party, and they're like, this guy threw up, blah blah blah. And then like the guy comes like wandering out, and they're like, that's him, that's the guy. And it's just like okay, like someone call the cops, the guy barfed. Anyways, I thought I was a square at a party, but guess what? I was not as square as those folks at that particular time. They were mad about it. Okay, so back to the haircut. I'm gonna go cut this across and create a little bit of a stronger guide here. You can see there's all kinds of wild stuff happening. And if I'm not mistaken, I think a little bit more could come off that very top piece there. I don't know if you can, how I can make that look a little bit better. To make your own cinnamon brown sugar syrup for your coffee is really easy. And I was mad at Pinterest because it was like very easy, da 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 da. And then when I actually did it, it didn't really turn out that great, so I amended it today. I started it yesterday. So I did 1 cup of light brown sugar and half a cup, I ended up adding in half a cup of dark brown sugar. Then equal parts water, so 1.5 cups water. Put that in a saucepan and heated that up and let that go. And with that, I added a teaspoon of cinnamon powder. And what I found in the first batch was that it was way too cinnamony for me, which doesn't seem possible because I love cinnamon, but it was like off balance. And then it wasn't really, I guess I hadn't dissolved it quite enough, because when I went to pour some in earlier today, there was a bunch of like stuff that had settled at the bottom of the jar that I put it in. So I added that dark brown sugar and water today, added the syrup, yesterday's syrup, to it, and cooked it for quite a while so it really got dissolved. And it tasted perfect, and I'm drinking this out of my potion cup. I found this at St. Vincent de Paul or Goodwill or something. I love weird mugs. Okay, so I'm obviously not going to be able to really get this very back bit very good, but I'm going to try to at least get it even. And we can see I kind of like dip down on that side over there. So I'm gonna, oh boy, here we go. Yes. happens about once a day. It's pretty amazing. There's never anything going on. But what probably happened is somebody walked by the house, maybe with a dog. So they had to get crazy and kind of wild out about it. And then they get each other going. Okay, so as you can see, I used that top guide and just walked it just at a 90-degree angle. I just kind of walked it down like that. This is the madhouse I live in. Okay, I'm gonna move that over there. Okay, so now that I've gotten to this side, I'm just gonna check and see where we're at with this part here in this side. My apologies, it's on this other side. So I'm gonna pull that out and I'm gonna see where the bottom length is compared to where I cut down on that first length. I'm gonna use the smaller tines. Oh, there's my little guide right there. You can see her, she's right there. So I'm just gonna pull this up so I don't like let this drop out. And that's some old leftover length from something. Then I'm gonna walk that down a little bit. Cut that. Doo-doo. It's looking better. I like it. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky because I have this piece here that doesn't connect to anything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this very front bit. Then I'm gonna connect that. I'm gonna here, I'm gonna clip this away. Boop. So you can see too if I wanted to wear my hair this way. I could just be a sassy brunette with like a little bit of gray over on this side, but I like to do it the other way. I was told this was my good side, but it's my good side if I'm peeking out from underneath something, so I have followed that. I can hear Lily. Sorry, I'm just getting this little piece of my bang right there. No. She's so cute. Okay. I'll be down in a sec, girls. I'm just talking to myself up here. I know, it sounds crazy. Okay, so cut that down. I don't know if you can see from that side. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. I'll be down in a minute. They maybe understood what I was saying. I don't know if you guys know this, but some of you probably do. But the Dexys Midnight Runners had a very long and fantastic career besides their one hit in the United States, which, as we all know, is called Come On Eileen. This track, I believe, is off of the album Searching for the Young Soul Rebels or something like that. Anyways, it's really good. Before they were wearing their overalls with the one strap off and their like white like tank tops doing their two raw yays. Which I love that part. Okay, so I'm going to take a little from here And look, I'm going to use the guide behind it. If I can see it. I can. Oh, Gino. Okay. This was cut at a little bit of an A-line originally, which is why this front part is a little longer than the back. This is out of control right here. Okay. I'm going to use that bottom and cut that up. Oh. I'm feeling pretty good about this. There's still, this side's a little, gotta do a little something. Oh, there it is. I taught beauty school for a couple different places after I graduated and got licensed. And I got really good at finding the weird piece quickly. Because at the first beauty school I worked at, there were so many people out on the floor and not very many instructors. So in order to be super efficient, I had to whip through those cuts real quickly. I'm pulling it out this way so I can see if there's any, it's kind of it's a cross check. That's what they call those things, is cross checking. A cross check. Okay, so it's still a little long. Okay, so I'm gonna follow that down just a little bit because I think I angled my hands up a little bit like that, and now I need to bring them down a little bit more. Yes, and those little curls that want to twirl away, finding those little bees. No surrender. Okay, that's looking a little better. I keep saying that, oh my god. Do you ever do that where you don't realize you're saying something over and over until you've heard yourself for like the 15th time and you're like, oh god, I've said that's looking a little bit better, like after every time I come here into this, it's looking a little bit better. Okay. Staring at the ribbon, staring at the ribbons. If you want to know a little bit more about me, I had a hair studio in Portland, Oregon for quite a number of years. The first incarnation of that was called The Parlor, P-A-R-L-O-R, and it was in an old warehouse in the Eastside Industrial District. And that was some of the best days of my life. I loved it. My friend Shugs and I both worked at the same salon for a minute, and she's an esthetician and I did hair, and so we decided to get out of that place and try something else because, well, at the time there wasn't really much option. There weren't many options for people, and every salon that I knew of in 2001, is that when I graduated? I think so. It was just kind of the same version of the other salon, and I didn't like it. So my friend Shugs had rented a warehouse space before for different graphic design projects and business ventures, and she's a business genius, and so I'd always wanted an excuse to rent a cool warehouse space, but not being an artist, so to speak, I never considered that was a thing I could do. So when she was like, yeah, you just go and ask them and then they will lease it to you. I was like, holy shit. So we had many an adventure looking at all different warehouses throughout the city. And the B&O was our place. We loved it so much. We loved everybody that worked there. That's where the original Queen Bee handbags was for a while. It wasn't their first location, but they were there for quite some time. There was like fine art painters there. There were furniture makers there. There were people that had stuff in actual storage there. So like Columbia Gorge Organics had some storage there. And yeah, all kinds of, there was like a big, one of the aquarium stores, fish stores in Portland had their, like, I don't know, would it be a warehouse thing down in the basement? And I remember the first time we went down there when we were touring the building, Shugs and I thought it felt just like Blade Runner when they go into that place where the guy's making the eyeballs. So we'd always call it Blade Runner down there. It was pretty cool. It was all very mysterious and fun. So I think what I'm gonna do now is just clean this up a little bit. It's getting a little bit difficult for me to go, and because my hair is dry and I don't know what it's doing, I might want to wash it and continue it. This side there's like just this little maybe piece right there. But as you can see, when this is now not laying in a triangle, it's laying in a shape closer to my head. I hope you've enjoyed it. I can check this top part. I want to give a shout out to my original, there's two people that really, I feel like, helped me in my career immensely. The first person is my hairdresser I had at the time when I went to beauty school. Her name was Kana Ivy, and she's since passed away, sadly, from brain cancer. She's really young. This is very devastating. But she's the one that encouraged me to go to beauty school. And when I told her I didn't know how to cut hair, she's like, "That's why you go to school, dummy." She didn't call me a dummy, but that was my add-in. But I was like, oh yeah, duh. She's great. And then once I got out of beauty school, I had the opportunity to go to a couple of classes taught by the artistic director for John Sahag at the time. His name is L.B. Mulcahy, and he was now in St. Petersburg, Florida, and owns a salon called, I think it's called Velvet, and it's spelled V-L-V-T, or maybe it's called V-L-V-T. I'm not sure, but he was, I felt like there were all these like really strict rules that you had to follow when you cut hair, and there was this right way to do it, and all this stuff, and it felt really restrictive, and it was hard for me to kind of comprehend what to do, because the hardest thing was with hair cutting for me was trying to imagine when you pulled it out a certain way, what was going to happen when it fell down. Like, I just was like, ugh, I can't really figure that out. So when I went to his class, he taught a dry cutting class, and he said, well, you already know what hair does when you pull it out, when you pull it all the way down, back, forward, all the way up. So you just create a haircut based on those elements and what you want the hair to do. So go for it. And I was just like, right. So that's where Kano was the inspiration, and LB helped me figure out my style, and just trying things out, seeing what happens. Biggest mistake I think I made out of beauty once I got out of beauty school was that I threw my doll head away, because for whatever reason I thought that having your doll head was like being in kindergarten still or something. I don't know. I thought like once you graduated from beauty school, like you didn't need that doll head anymore. It turns out, like, dude, buy 1,000 doll heads. Find them everywhere you go. Find those, oh, what happened here? I think what I did is I turned off instead of unplugging the chandelier, I just turned off the whole thing, and then I had a little battery signal. Anyways, have 1,000 mannequin heads. People know that now, I'm sure, but at the time I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything when I started beauty school. And I thought it was real cool stuff too, which I am. No, I mean, no, I wasn't. I did have a natural, I just had a natural knack for it in a certain level, especially with color, because I did a lot of at-home coloring, and absorbed a lot of information from different stylists that I would talk to about it, and that made sense to me. I was like, oh, if I mess up color, it's totally fine. I know how to fix it. And sometimes that fix was just Diet Black, but I felt pretty confident with that. But cutting was tough for me. But when I got out, I was really full of myself, and yeah, threw away my mannequin head. I don't know, I had a pretty messed up beauty school experience. It's slightly abusive, like slightly emotionally abusive situation happening there, which I'm drawn to, so there's that. Not anymore, but I was at the time. So anyways, this looks a million times better. I'm just trying to get this weird girl out of the back there. Don't throw away your mannequin head. Like, buy a million more. Practice things. I think we're so lucky that we get to be stylists in an age where there's YouTube and people just sharing their things, and that it's not such an uptight industry as it maybe has been in the past. I really like that. I like people finding their own way and finding their own artistry, and I think a lot of times people sell themselves short in their artistry. I feel like develop a style that you like and go for it. I mean, you can give people the version, you can put your own twist on the haircuts that they want. But ultimately, it's really helpful if you guide people and have them find what their personal style is and help develop that and cultivate that. I don't know why I think twisting my body around is gonna help. I just can't see back there. But I'm like, there's a bud. There it is. There it is. I know there's a piece. Get it out of there. Ah. Okay, I hope that did it. Did it? I think it did. There's probably still a piece back there. I'm not gonna try it. There you go. I will post another short video afterwards of what it looks like when it's all freshly washed and styled. But yeah. So, I mean, a shag basically is, as the kids say back in the day, a modified like 90-degree haircut. What you want is shorter layers on top, rounding down to whatever length that you want. Now what it could also be too is what, I don't know if people would still call this the Rod Stewart haircut. It's called a feather cut, technically, where it's like really cropped up here, and really long. It's that kind of, it's like super mod, where it's like late 60s, maybe getting into the early 70s. I think it definitely got very popular in the 70s and 80s, like in the mainstream. That's a little bit of a different cut. That's a little bit more, you're going to over direct hair up to a certain point so that it all lays down like that. So that's a little bit different. With the modern shag, what people like is to have, you want to make sure that these layers come down and like they're at least as long as like the parietal ridge. You want to make sure that hair bends and goes down. And then you can also texturize, like you can take pieces out if you need some pieces to be a little bit lighter in certain areas, but just be careful you don't cut that top too short, unless of course that's the style that they're looking for. So there's that. Be mindful of your perimeter, and be mindful, like when you pull it out and pull it down, I like to add like a little extra, I like to taper in just a little bit on the sides, or like on the lower ends, just so it kind of lays a little bit nicer. I'm kind of picky about having too thick of ends on the hair, not like super like wisp out, but I like it to have a little bit of curve. That's just my personal aesthetic. Anyways, thanks for watching. I would say click like and or whatever, ring the bell to subscribe, but I don't even know what that is and I barely have a video on here. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'll give a tour of my studio later, and I'll probably edit this down for length. And thanks, and I hope you're surviving / relaxing, and not putting too much pressure on yourself to do any dang thing. The lion and the goddess also bid you adieu.